7 months after a mass shooting killed 8 people in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, OpenAI employees flagged the shooter's disturbing ChatGPT conversations about gun violence. The company debated calling police. They chose not to. The day after the shooting, OpenAI had a pre-planned meeting with BC government officials. They didn't mention they had evidence. Welcome to another exciting edition of AI News. My name is Wisdom, and what you're about to hear forces an impossible question. When should AI companies break user privacy to potentially save lives? This is the most important AI safety discussion we've had yet. So let's begin. So on February 10, 2026, Jersey von Rotzeler, 18 years old, killed her mother, Jennifer Strang, an 11-year-old half-brother, at their Tumbler Ridge home. She then went to Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, where she had been a student before dropping out, with a modified rifle and long gun. She killed 6 people at the school. Education assistant Shanda Aviugana Durant, 3-year-old girls, 1 12-year-old boy, and 1 13-year-old boy. 27 others were injured. Van Rotzeler then killed herself when RCMP arrived within 2 minutes of the first 911 call. It's Canada's deadliest school shooting since the École Polytechnique massacre in 1989 and the deadliest mass shooting since Nova Scotia in 2020. The town has a population of 2,399. This is the context for what we're about to discuss. So the Wall Street Journal, TechCrunch, Fox News, Globe, it's all over, the Mail, Canadian Press, Global News all confirmed this story. So in June 2025, just 7 months before the shooting, OpenAI's automatic review system flagged Van Rotzeler's ChatGPT conversations about gun violence. The flags were so concerning that roughly a dozen OpenAI employees reviewed the transcripts. Now, according to sources familiar with the matter, Von Rotzeler had engaged in multiple days of conversations with ChatGPT describing violent scenarios involving firearms and schools. The conversations were deemed so disturbing that staff debated whether to turn the chat logs over to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. OpenAI made the decision not to report. The company's policy is to only alert law enforcement if there's an imminent threat of real-world harm or violence. OpenAI determined Van Rotzeler's conversations didn't meet that threshold. Instead, they banned the account in June 2025 and moved on. Now here is where this gets even more complicated. On February 11th, the day after the shooting, OpenAI representatives had a pre-planned meeting with British Columbia government officials. According to BC Premier David Eby's office, OpenAI made no mention of having flagged Van Rotzeler's account months earlier. The province released a statement. OpenAI did not inform any member of government that they had potential evidence regarding the shootings in Tumbler Ridge. Only on February 12th, 2 days after the shooting, did OpenAI request RCMP contact information to provide Van Rotzeler's account details to investigators. Now, Premier Eby's statement was blunt, and I quote, "Reports that allege OpenAI had related intelligence before the shootings in Tumbler Ridge took place are profoundly disturbing for the victims' families and all British Columbians. The pain that these families have gone through is unimaginable." So, OpenAI provided statements to multiple outlets, and here's their position. They followed their policy. Number 1. The conversations didn't meet their threshold for imminent threat, requiring law enforcement notification. Number 2, they acted after learning the identity. As soon as it became aware of the shooter's identity in media reports, it reached out to the US Federal Bureau of Investigation to pass along information to the RCMP. 3. They are reviewing their processes. OpenAI is undertaking a review of this case to determine whether its processes could be improved. 4. Privacy and harm avoidance mattered. Sources told AI News that OpenAI was prioritizing a cautious approach to avoid distressing a young individual and their family, and wanted to avoid unnecessary alarm from police involvement. An OpenAI spokesperson told Fox News, and I quote, "Our thoughts are with everyone affected by the Tumbler tragedy. We proactively reached out to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police with information on the individual and their use of ChatGPT, and we will continue to support their investigation." So ChatGPT wasn't the only warning sign, according to reporting. Now, von Rotzler created a Roblox game simulating a mass shooting at a mall. Roblox is frequented by children. You need to keep that in mind. Now, they made concerning posts about guns on Reddit. Local police had previous contact with the family after von Rotzler started a fire while under the influence of drugs. Von Rotzler had been in psychiatric treatment. Also, weapons had been seized from the home previously. As Laura Alda noted in the Globe and Mail, and I quote, "We should be cautious about retroactively shifting responsibility onto an AI platform when established legal and law enforcement mechanisms were already in motion. Police and mental health professionals were already involved. The question is, would one more data point from OpenAI have made a difference?" Now, this case forces an impossible question with no good answers. The privacy argument. 1. Millions of people use ChatGPT for mental health support, dark thoughts, creative writing about violence. Most concerning conversations don't lead to real-world harm. Flagging users to police for thought crimes creates a surveillance state. False positives would overwhelm law enforcement and traumatize innocent users. And then minority communities already face disproportionate policing. AI amplifying that is dangerous. So Laura Hay, who is a sociology professor at Western University, told Global News, ChatGPT and other apps are run by commercial entities that at the end of the day, their interest is protecting their assets and their business. So we're done with the privacy argument. Now the safety argument. 1. 8 people are dead who might be alive if OpenAI had called the police. Companies profit from these platforms. They have responsibility for harms. So if automated systems can detect threats, human judgment should review them. Privacy means nothing to the families burying their children, and the threshold for imminent threat was clearly set too high. Premier Abiy said police are now pursuing preservation orders for evidence held by digital service companies, including social media platforms, AI companies. And Federal AI Minister Ivan Solomon echoed Abiy's concerns, calling OpenAI's decision deeply alarming. Now, what do the experts say? Laura Hay told Global News that she wasn't surprised, and I quote, "People are increasingly using AI-based apps for all sorts of things, including psychological counseling, dating, advice, and of course, unfortunately, things like how to take one's own life as well as how to commit violence against others." Now, the debate boils down to this. So, I'm thinking about it deeply. Do we really want AI companies acting as thought police? Or do we want them ignoring warning signs until it's too late? There is really no middle ground that satisfies both values perfectly. Canada is now considering whether clearer national rules may be needed to address potential gaps. The government had backed away from AI-specific legislation, but is now reconsidering. This tragedy may reshape AI safety policy globally. Now let's move forward and jump into the major news of the last 24 hours, and quickly let's get into it. On a more hopeful note, Times of India and Financial Express report that 88 nations, including the US, China, UK, France, Germany, and Japan, have backed India's Delhi Declaration calling for equitable access to AI globally. The declaration emphasizes AI development should benefit all nations, not just tech superpowers. Emerging economies need support building AI infrastructure. AI safety standards should be globally coordinated. Digital divide must be addressed before AI widens inequality further. Of Of course, notable absences were Pakistan and Taiwan, who are not signatories. The Hindu covered key takeaways from the AI Impact Summit, noting this represents the first major multilateral agreement on AI since the voluntary pledges at previous summits. India positioned itself as a leader of the global south in AI policy, with PM Modi's preparation, not fear, message resonating with developing nations. TechCrunch reports Microsoft's new gaming CEO Asha Sharma made a striking commitment. She vows not to flood the ecosystem with endless AI slop. And I quote, "We are not interested in generating generic content at scale," Sharma told TechCrunch. "Players can smell inauthenticity immediately. AI should enhance human creativity, not replace it." This is a direct shot at competitors using AI, by the way, to generate endless variations of games, characters, and content. So Sharma's stance is simple: quality over quantity, even if AI makes quantity free. So PC Games and also covered how Sharma is the first major gaming executive to explicitly reject the AI-generated content at scale, approach that's become common elsewhere. So maybe not reject, but not exactly just mass generating content. Moving on, the Washington Times reports the Vatican launched AI-powered real-time translation services at St. Peter's Basilica for its 400th anniversary. The system provides instant translation of masses, tours, and ceremonies into 50+ languages, making the Vatican accessible to millions who previously couldn't understand Latin or Italian services. Catholic culture notes this is the church's most significant technology adoption since live streaming began. Pope Francis has been cautiously supportive of AI while warning about ethical concerns. Let's move on and talk about some breakthrough technologies now, shall we? Where Life Science reports researchers have developed thermodynamic computers that can mimic AI neural networks using orders of magnitude less energy than traditional systems. The breakthrough uses physical thermodynamic processes instead of digital computation to perform AI calculations. Early tests show the systems can generate images while consuming 1,000 times less power than GPUs. This could solve AI's massive energy problem. And current AI training runs consume enough electricity to power small cities. So thermodynamic computing could make AI really sustainable. Okay, now let's look at some of the major headlines from the blogs and big reporters on AI, where Inverse is reporting, and this is a headline on their page which says, Inverse examines whether Musk's claim AI will move to space in 30 months is physically possible, and physics says maybe, but barely. Gax reports also has this one on their page which says, OpenAI planning smart speaker designed by former Apple designer Johnny Ive, launching 2027. Pine and Lake reports Minnesota Police Department is adopting AI to generate police reports from body camera footage. And Cybersecurity News reports that new SuperClaw AI specifically designed to test security vulnerabilities. And Futurism reports Hollywood studios are systemically underreporting AI use in productions. Futurism also covers developers' brutally honest take on AI's actual capabilities versus hype. And then Futurism also reports AI is driving up cost of phones, laptops as chips prioritize AI capabilities. Alright, so this isn't a normal call to action. This is serious. And comment below, be respectful. 8 people are dead, families are grieving, so be respectful. Should OpenAI have called police when they flagged those conversations? Or does that create a surveillance dystopia? If your answer is yes, call police. Where's the line? Violent creative writing, dark humor, venting. If your answer is also no, protect privacy. Are you okay with companies having evidence and doing nothing? There is really no easy answer here. That's why I want to hear from you. This is definitely a tragedy. It might reshape AI policy. Your voice matters in that debate. If you found this bulletin valuable, even though it's heavy, subscribe. Where should the line be? Alright, stay safe. See you next time. Stay safe and stay smart.